Today we're looking at that heartbreaking, now deleted post from a Highguard dev who shipped his first game, then watched most of the team get laid off right after launch. Shipping a debut title is a huge deal. The pride you feel is real, and you deserve every bit of it. But the pile-on that followed? That was brutal. These folks poured everything into this game, only to get crushed right after launch. I feel for him deeply. The raw pain in that post is impossible to miss. It opens with pure joy. The day leading to the Game Awards was amongst the most exciting in my life. Then the trailer lands and the haterade starts. We were turned into a joke from minute one. He goes on to call out gamers' power, how negativity killed the game before a fair chance. It's real hurt, and it leaves you wondering, what really happened? We'll never know every detail, but from 20 plus years in this industry, a few hard truths stand out for me.
Sorry, kid. It's just business.
The first big one, when everything inside feels lightning in a bottle and unstoppable, that's usually the red flag waving hardest. This post is full of it. He talks about friends and insiders, everyone saying, this is lightning in a bottle. Mainstream hit written all over it. No way this flops. I could play this all day. It is total confidence. Contrast that with every game I've shipped, Gears of War included. We loved it, passionately, but we were terrified the whole way. We had bugs stacking up, our cinematics were behind, debates were raging internally. When we finally shipped, we were holding our breath, knowing exactly what was broken under the hood. We believed it was a good game, and we loved the game, but you never know until it goes out. Entertainment isn't food. People don't have to buy or play it, and blind positivity on a team is dangerous. In particular because it's so hard already to see something you love clearly. You've probably heard this saying. It's one I reminded my teams of regularly. A fish can't see the water. Positivity is good, but taken to an extreme, it builds an echo chamber where hard truths don't land, letting small issues grow into big ones before anyone notices. And it can happen in hiring too. My worst call ever was hiring a leader everyone praised. There were no red flags anywhere. It was crazy. I thought it was a slam dunk. But it didn't work out, so I changed. Now if I can't find anyone calling out weaknesses, I dig more or I pass on the person. And here's an irony of this game. They pushed the "from the makers of Apex Legends" tag, and that cranked up expectations for lightning striking twice, which is really tough to pull off. And this team celebrated indie freedom, no big publisher oversight. In retrospect, maybe those external eyes were crucial. Maybe when they started their studio, they didn't understand why the Apex team had been so successful. They didn't know how to recreate the conditions. This is why it's so important to do a postmortem after you ship. It's not just about fixing issues. It's about understanding what worked and why, so you can do it again in the future, so you can try to replicate that magic again. And here's the truth for new game developers. If there's no real pain internally, no brutal, honest fights over the work, you should worry more. In my experience, healthy teams brawl over ideas. Voices raise, emotions flare, because passion demands it. Sometimes it even goes too far. It might even get personal. But good teams cool off, apologize, and keep building. If feedback stays too polite, too surface level, blind spots are going to grow, and that's not sustainable. Making games isn't faint-hearted work. The process can be brutal, but if you're not wrestling internally, when you ship, the internet will do it for you, and it's much worse. The second truth, you have to own the product end to end, from the day one elevator pitch all the way to the credits rolling. This post hints they got blindsided by the TGA trailer spotlight. Jeff Keighley loved it and handed them a generous gift, a free slot at the Game Awards, one you don't turn down. But lightning strikes like that only help if you're ready, if you have a polished pitch locked in, assets prepped and banked. One founder later admitted that they could have made a better trailer, one that nailed the unique loop entertainingly instead of just being entertaining. That comment surprised me because late in production, that should be muscle memory. Your pitch evolves into trailers, socials, interviews, your whole communication strategy. And why didn't they go on the offense after the backlash? Why did they go back to their old plan of remaining quiet? Why not adjust in real time? Try moving the needle back into a positive direction. The context people have coming into a game is critical. Leaving that on the floor or in a bad place seems very risky. People were starving for more, even just to grumble. Feed them. Shape the story. Own the narrative. Try turning those skeptics into fans. With Gears, we kept communications tight. We had one killer voice out front. Some people are naturally good at this, which he was, but it was more than that. As the lead designer, he was communicating the design decisions that were being made every day across the team, so everyone knew what we were making and why. He communicated these ideas to the publisher. We'd fly him out for big Xbox review meetings, and eventually he would communicate to the press. We had been practicing and refining the message for months, so we were locked and loaded when we started talking about our game. Having one or two people on a team that can do this, that are great at it, are worth gold for hype and damage control. Later in the post, the dev called out 14,000 review bombs from players under an hour, many quitting before finishing the tutorial. Look, you can't expect gamers to play the tutorial. Perhaps if you had just released that first, that would work. But ask yourself, how many people read the manual before they use their new device? The harsh reality is that gamers owe you nothing. They have infinite choices for what to play, and they do make split-second, sometimes unfair calls. But the brutal reviews, they're still a gift. At least they engaged. I understand the desire to let the game do the talking, which is why they went dark after the Game Awards debacle. And given the reactions, it's quite possible that they wouldn't have been able to turn around the reception of the game enough to make the launch go smoother. But maybe, if they had paused and instead of launching, created a closed beta, it would have given them time to start addressing player concerns before they were live. They could have refined the game and their communications at the same time. It's always easier to look in the rearview mirror and see possibilities that might have worked. Hopefully, by slimming down their team, they can survive long enough to win fans. Only time will tell. I have huge empathy for the game developers. I've been there. I've shipped and gotten this reaction. It's painful and often feels unfair. But there are things to learn, especially from failure. Foster brutal internal honesty and resilience on the team. Spot the hype bubbles before they blind you. If it feels too good to be true, it probably is. And own the full experience. From the first interview or pixels on the screen, you are in the spotlight. You are pitching your baby. Own that full experience from pitch to player. That's my take.
Or some sort of vesting thing.
No, it's simple. This big Chinese company comes along, and they, I had a chunk of ownership in Epic. They buy out 40% of it without any, strings attached. And Epic at the time, and I say this very carefully because they've really kind of changed into their own entity. With Paragon looks cool, Fortnite looks cool, like their engines look great. We're using it ourselves, it's great. But at the time, there was this whole Gears was kind of a fluke, and I could pitch any idea to the company, and inevitably I'd have somebody in my office going, I don't buy it. And it was one of these situations.